agenda is the consent agenda. You'll receive the agenda, the financials, the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any additions or corrections, comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. Second. We got a motion and a second. Further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Public comment. Would anybody like to speak this morning? All right, then we'll move to the President's report. Lana.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well done, Mr. Martinez. Prospect Zodiac was an RFI to the Department of Commerce. We've not heard anything back from the Department of Commerce with any updates on this. We did submit a very competitive site proposal, but have not heard anything back from them.
Is there a plus or minus that I know they don't communicate very much on their end? Can we ask them periodically?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we do follow up and try to find out, especially in this situation, this is an industrial project that has some utility requirements. So certainly we want to know if there's any action in that so that we can continue to plan if we're going to need to provide utilities for another prospect. But a lot of times it's simply that Department of Commerce hasn't gotten any updates from their site selector, so they don't provide anything to us.
All right, thanks.
Prospect 219, we have submitted, this was a prospect that came out and visited with us. They had some very unique requirements for their site. We were able to identify a couple of parcels, and a real estate broker was able to find one of those parcels that was available. And so the broker is working with them on getting a proposal into the owners to see if we can get that purchased for them. 1018 one is actually the Conestoga biodiesel that you'll see today. That was the project we were helping them with, trying to identify locations that would work, and they've opted to locate it there, co-locate it there. So Project Birmingham, we have had some additional visits with them and are working on workforce development plans, and we'll keep you posted on that one. 718 one is an industrial company who visited the community. Excuse me, and we did propose some sites for them. R&R is the Department of Commerce RFP. We've not had any updates on that. Pinkies, we are assisting them with their permanent location. They have applied for an e-community loan, which is the Network Kansas program that we as economic development participate in, sell tax credits so that we can then loan those funds within the community to entrepreneurs. And we're awaiting response from Great Plains Development. They administer those funds for us, so hopefully we'll be able to keep them moving through the process and get them opened up quickly in their permanent location. They're very excited. Rochester, the TIF and SID have now received final approval through the City Commission as of the last City Commission meeting. And you guys have probably noticed they've got the dirt moving equipment up there on the hill, going up the hill from Quick Shop up to Target. So they'll get that area cleaned up, and we're very excited to get that developed.
And that does include taking that old house down, or the house on Campus Drive, and then the old Kemper house up on the hill.
The house on Campus Drive too? The one
Yes.
overhead?
So that house on campus is going in?
Yes. Yeah, it's actually part of the development now. They designed it to create an additional entrance.
Actually, we started on the outbuilding yesterday and moved down.
Did it?
We're excited for that. And as we've told you before, that
South of Overrates, right there. South of Overrates.
Would that be
Levy's.
the old red one?
Yeah, red brick.
yeah, that property definitely had some unique challenges to get it developed. They were actually parcels were owned by two different parties, one up the hill and one at the bottom of the hill, and the drainage concerns were pretty significant with getting that developed. You really couldn't do one without the other, so we were fortunate to be able to convince these guys that they could do a full development instead of just a single one-off building. So we're very excited for them to get that done. That'll really finish that out nicely on the hill. So, Value-added agriculture, we have compiled a qualified opportunity zone prospectus and are working with some interested local parties who may actually have a desire to invest in that and start that project off. So we'll keep you posted on that. Transload site, we do have 2 additional prospects that are looking at locating either nearby or within the transload facility to allow for rail traffic. So we'll keep working those. Also working on, we've convened some stakeholders to address the development of a new industrial park area that would be out in the county. We have a follow-up meeting scheduled for this week to discuss the utility availability and transportation infrastructure needs. So this would really give us a great opportunity to open up some more development sites and provide for some larger industrial projects in the future. And business assistance, it really continues to be the same thing. I know you guys get tired of hearing about it, but it really is about workforce and housing. And we've been fortunate. We've had several meetings, several discussions over the last month with folks who are interested in really assisting us with both of those pieces. So we'll continue to work through those. It was a very busy month, as you can see from our meetings. We have been pretty much all day, every day packed with folks in the office, which is a wonderful thing. And we did do a presentation yesterday at the Lions Club on workforce and some of the things that we're working on with the advisory councils and the governor's council and so forth. And we had really good feedback from the folks who were there. There's a lot of excitement generated around that, and we're very excited. You guys probably also saw that the Holcomb School Board is talking about the aquatics center again, looking at opportunities there. So we've been helping them with compiling who they can reach out to, who some additional stakeholders may be in that, and we'll continue to help them through that. I think that the timing is probably very good considering that we've just recently gone through the big pool surveys and so forth, and so we probably have a better feel for what folks want in an aquatic center than we did before that. So I think that's a good thing. And that is really, childcare continues to move forward. We are working with one private employer on doing a customized strategic plan for their childcare needs. And we've set that on about an 8-week timeline with all the different discussions and the different outcomes that they want to achieve with it. So we actually, the first planning discussion takes place this week, and hopefully within 8 weeks we'll have a final product to them and create a solution that will work for them, and hopefully will also help with some of our additional county uses. So any questions on any of that?
On that child care deal, if the information on the facility on 3rd Street, is there a similar quote-unquote timeline of what could happen on something like that?
On the 3rd Street?
Yes.
Yeah, so Matt Allen is actually discussing it. He's preparing a memo to present to the city commission for their next meeting next week. And the way it was left after the joint meeting was really that the 2 governing bodies, the city and county governing bodies, would start around the discussions of the joint economic development fund, which they're the 2 owners of. Right. So I've been working with Matt on developing what that memorandum should look like. So provided we can get, we did get a firm offer back from a firm price on the building back from Mr. Klossman, so we know what numbers we're working with now. And we are in hopes that should the bodies agree that this is something that they want to create the opportunity for, we would be able to get started right away. The contractors who have looked at it have told us that they believe they could get it accomplished, the child care side accomplished, within 6 to 9 months once they get the opportunity to start. So, okay. Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? It has been a busy month so far, and I don't anticipate things are going to slack off too much in the future.
No, we don't think so either.
With several things going, so.
Public comment, we did ask for that.
Yes.
Did ask for that.
Sorry about that.
Nobody wanted to speak.
Can't believe that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Move on, Nicole.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Youth development has decided, this is the first year that they decided that they're going to continue to meet over the summer, so the youth development group at Garden City High School. Sorry,
There you go.
is that better?
That's better.
Oh, the youth development group has decided that they're going to continue to meet over the summer just because we had a lot of initiatives going on. A lot of it had to do with Bob's task force that he's called, so they've been having really good meetings discussing those type things. We've also decided to go ahead and get the freshman career fair and the student job fair on the calendar, which that's a hard thing to do even this early in the year just because of all the activities that are scheduled at Garden City High School. But it is scheduled for December 6, 2019. That's the freshman career fair. And then the student job fair will be April 29th of 2020. We will be sending out save the dates to the employers and also putting a social media post out and some things like that, just hoping to get it on everyone's calendar so that they are aware of it and preparing for it.
Excuse me, what did you say that April date was?
You
29th?
have a handout somewhere. It's on this other page. The other
Oh, okay.
loose page.
Thanks, Dad. Thanks. Gotcha.
All right, sorry.
Thanks.
Also, kind of in alignment with the task force that we've been working with the school districts, we've also been involved. The college and the high school have been tasked with, from the State Board of Education, we're looking forward to the Perkins funding, and this will be the Perkins 5 grant funding cycle. So we'll be looking at grant funding for Perkins for the next 5 to 6 years. So we have not only just Holcomb and 457 representatives sitting on that, as well as from the college, but also any school that sits in the Garden City Community College service area. So it includes Sublette, Gray County, just pretty much our surrounding area. So we've been working closely with the Southwest Service Center located in Sublette. So representatives from Southwest Kansas High School will all be coming together with the college, and myself and Jenny Hands will all be, plus employers and community members and students are all going to be sitting on this task force. They're going to meet 4 times the next year to make sure, along the same lines, that the pathways that we're offering at the high schools are what is needed in our communities. So just kind of another arm of, I think, the governor's idea that we're really going to, I think, hunker down on education and get it aligned with what our state is actually needing. So that was just, the preliminary meeting was a couple weeks ago. They have a meeting at the end of July, and then they'll get started in their task force meetings of what they're going to do. As far as the partnership ongoing with the college, we've been very busy with that. Makerspace is currently working on an MOU to continue with their partnership out there and to be able to offer some classes and use the wood shop space. I'm sure Shannon will talk a little bit about that. So that's moving forward nicely. We'll help with marketing of those programs and making sure that people know about the classes they're getting offered, and then also the partnership that we have with the college. In case you hadn't seen it, the mobile lab is in the parking lot and ready for rental for anyone who needs to use it. It had some downtime. It had an internet issue and it was basically broken, but it's fixed now and it's ready to use. So we've been working with them on some marketing pieces. So we have some marketing pieces out in the community that we're going to be taking to employers for customized trainings. We're getting new laptops for it. It can hold 30 laptops. Has Wi-Fi capabilities. If you haven't seen the mobile lab, it's a pretty impressive space. Once it's folded out, it's about 1,000 square feet classroom. So we're hoping.
It's in the college parking lot.
Right now it is, And if you want to go look at it, it's usually open during the day, but if it's not, just go in and talk to Chuck or Julie and they'll be happy to take you through it. It's really neat. But we also have a list of employers that are already kind of expressed an interest in having it to do. We've had some feedlots come out and say, hey, we've got truck drivers that need to do some continuing education things. Would it be possible to have it sitting there while their truck is unloading? Could they come in and do their continuing education? So we're working through the logistics of that. A lot of that has to do with internet capabilities. So we're working through that. We have some other, Tyson's interested in using the unit. I mean, it's nice to have it back in service because obviously it's a need in the community. So hopefully get that going. We also last week organized a meeting with the college and the Southwest Kansas Builders Association. I felt like it was very positive. We're working towards offering some trainings and education to get the workforce built up on the builder side. I think right now they'll just work through some trainings, not necessarily a certificate or degree track. We're going to start small with some trainings, but they were both sides were very receptive to working together and moving forward on some type of building trades partnership. We're continuing to assist them with their needs assessment surveys. The child care one came back, it was positive. We got what we needed out of that one, and now we're moving forward on another survey in the dental field. So we currently have surveys out to area dentists, asking for some feedback on some programs that they may be needing in the next coming years. And
This is like on a dental assistant versus dental hygienist, this kind of
the
thing.
dental assistant program, because the dental hygiene program is offered in Colby, that's not something they really they didn't want to go down that road. The dental assistant program, the only one I think that's close enough here is maybe Hutch or Wichita that offers that program. So that opportunity is wide open for us if we want to do that. We've had quite a few dentists that have come to us and the college saying, hey, this is a skill that we're really lacking in, which I didn't really understand what a dental assistant was until you do the research, but it is a specialized field, not as specialized as the hygiene field, but little less time, but still a great paying job for those maybe just coming out of high school or needing a job. So about a 9-month training period, I think, is what we're looking at for a certification, and then there's additional options after that to obtain additional certificates. So
How many dentists do we have in town?
a lot.
And they're all highly successful. So,
Appear to be.
It was interesting, because we got permission to make sure that we could send it out to the other areas, because obviously Dodge doesn't have the program, and so we ended up sending it out to a few of the bigger dentists, dental practices in Dodge, but the majority of our dentists were located right here in Finney County.
Seriously.
Yeah, we sent out about 25 letters, and probably 18 of them were Finney County. So, just a further thing that people are really coming to Garden City to do doctor business, all types of stuff, so. And also, I'm now sitting on the Kansas Workforce One board. It meets quarterly. Finney County has 3 representatives. We work very closely with Kansas Workforce One in our office. They're the federal arm of the Department of Labor that come out. They do, all sorts of labor help. They sit on our committees. But they meet quarterly in Great Bend. We had the annual meeting. My first meeting was 2 weeks ago. So I'll be doing that. All expenses are paid through the Department of Labor, so just in case everyone was wondering.
I think that's really good, because they're such a critical piece of this education, work to learn type thing, and learn to work and back and forth.
And they're obviously been very informed on the education thing too, and they're kind of having their own little committee task force thing that they're doing too, so it'll be interesting when everyone comes together and shares their ideas. Any questions?
Okay. Any questions for Nicole?
I guess I would say on the 2 freshman career fair and job fair, as we build a stronger and stronger relationship between 457 and 363, is there an opportunity to perhaps merge, invite, encourage, whatever that word is, the 363 to attend these, so that our business community has
Okay, so
one
do it
shot at all of the kids?
That was actually the intent with those events. We are moving forward with some other ideas with the high school, but we wanted to get those on the calendar now, because Jenny's intent was we could offer that invite out for both career fair and the job fair.
And then if that step works, I really like that idea where you were talking to other school districts that surround us, because our draw for employment is significantly larger than 457 and 363. And if we could get it to a point where perhaps it became a community job fair instead of a high school job fair, that could then be open to all of these other surrounding districts, and especially with long-range planning like you're doing, that could get on their school calendar
Right.
and a busload of kids could come in. Because if we can get that excitement started and then get that transferred into their educational system, their teachers and belief system, that's going to be our next answer to this employment problem. Because, right now, we're going through hell trading employees. I mean, they're just in one door and out the other. And really trained people are off and going, and the dollars are really changing. With 2 guys that moved, we thought were highly compensated, they got an $8 an hour bump to go somewhere else. And so it's significant right now, and we've got to have a resupply, not just interchange of employees. So I think we need to reach out to these communities in a hurry.
I think that the Perkins 5 groups will be beneficial in that, because each community college is tasked with working within their service area and having those conversations. So I think it'll be good to talk to the smaller schools. I think just in the little bit of conversations we've had, like with the Southwest Service Center, there's an intimidation factor there of you've got your 5 and 6A schools and they're doing their own thing, and there isn't any reason why we can't all come to the same table and work towards a common goal.
Well, and I think that's the beauty of maybe taking it out of 457 and putting it down at the community college or some neutral site, if you will, that, be it the 3I building or whatever else, that kind of an idea. But I like where it's headed, and we just need to keep working on it, because this is, now that you have the childcare solved, and housing, I'm sure it's solved just any day. This one we got to go ahead and work on so that we have more children to serve, okay?
Thank you.
As mobile as our society is anymore, we have people that are, driving from Scott City and Lakin and Sublette, Cimarron, everywhere, every day, coming to Garden City to work, and I think it'd be a real asset to include all of those into something like this.
2 weeks ago, I talked to the superintendent over at Lakin, and he lives in my apartment, the reason I talked to him, and he said that Casey's came to their school and took 6 of their kids that graduated this year away. So there you go. We have kids wanting to work, but somebody else is taking them away. We need them here.
Yeah. And we can't let them escape.
Right.
But we have to show them the opportunity. And I think the opportunities are here. We just haven't had the ability to reach out and share that with them. So it's a good challenge. Gives you something to do.
Okay.
Like you need it.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, thanks, Nicole. Scott, tell us a little bit about Greater Garden City and communications part.
Well, good morning.
Good morning, Scott.
This month we had 6,500 visits to the website, which is about average. The top things people accessed were the Beef Empire Day schedule of events, and a story I wrote about recent Garden City High School graduate Alex Elchuk. He signed a letter of intent to play collegiate hockey. You can see that reflected down in the top Facebook posts and stories, where I posted a photo of the signing ceremony initially, and then also did a photo and story the next day. You can see that 8,500 people went through their feeds, and they clicked on it 1,500 times and seemed to like that story. The other top story was the city of Garden City naming their interim fire chief. Things to draw attention to is our Twitter impressions were double last month's total, and that was the highest so far. We've gotten 7,700 impressions that went through their Twitter account timeline, so that's pretty good. Nothing else of note, really. If anybody has questions on any of this, feel free.
I wasn't sure anybody besides Shannon played hockey.
Well, now you know.
Now I know, there's two
out there.
There's 2 of them.
I just wonder where they practice.
Yeah. What ice do you
The other one's
use?
going to college to go play hockey. Just got a meeting.
That's good.
I would tell you, we had a couple of really exciting things happen this past month with the social media too. We were contacted by Congressman Marshall's office asking specifically if we could go and cover an event that happened to fall on a weekend, and they just wanted to make sure that we could be there to cover that, which is nice. It's good to be recognized as a positive media force that folks want reporting on stuff. And then we had actually a Workforce One initiative, a statewide workforce initiative that's going on right now through Wichita State. And they reached out to us because they're doing some listening tours and wanted to make sure that we could get a Greater Garden City story up about it to really promote that event. So Scott's done a great job of building the relationships and building the trust in that media. So we're very pleased with that.
The Wichita State thing is going on now?
Yeah, the listening tour is Friday morning in Garden City. It's Friday morning at 8 o'clock at the community college. And Wichita State engaged with the workforce groups to go travel around the state and really listen to what employers have to say about their challenges related to workforce and how we can better meet those needs through the education system as well as through the workforce system when they're adult learners, and we need to capture them and give them opportunities. So very cool, again, that they're recognizing Greater Garden City as a media outlet that they know has a good reach and can get the right folks in the door for them.
Well, I think this has been a real learning process, ever since Scott came on board. It's been a building situation, and rather than run out and just start something and let it kind of hope something lands, he built a really solid foundation, and now it continues to build every month as our numbers show. So I think we've paid our dues in that, and I think it's really starting to pay off. Thanks, Scott.
Good job. Thanks, Scott. Shannon, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing.
Oh, good morning.
Morning, Shannon.
A lot of stuff that I've been doing is kind of tied up with what everybody else has been saying. I don't. Nicole, did you talk about the relocation guide? We did the first major revision on the relocation guide, just kind of updating information. That's with the resource group out of Workforce Connection. Added in radio stations, civic organizations.
Yep.
Update the restaurant stuff. So that's all up to date.
Working on a horse thief, Scott Lake, kind of like a recreation type piece thing in there
Right.
too, so we're working on that too.
So that was in there. That's mainly a Nicole thing in the resource group. Had a good meeting with Wichita County talking about childcare. That's in the contract services area. It was a good experience again to go through with some of those leaders when you're talking about the razor thin line between making a childcare that is profitable or at least doesn't lose money versus one that isn't. And it's good to sit down with a group of people, well, through Skype, sit down with a group of people and go through that process where you say, hey, if you are in a building that is physically too small and you have 15 kids instead of 17 kids in the classroom because of limitations, you go from a positive situation to a very negative situation on the financial statement. So that was really good. We're following up more with Wichita County on some other projects. They're going to go back to their groups about some further contract services that we can provide. But a lot of the stuff that I've been working on, we can't really go into too much more than what Lana's already said. I will say, and I was thinking about this morning, I'm like, my report is always kind of like, well, what's the one kind of general external thing I can talk about? I will say, now that the women's clinic is open, we did spend about a week going through locations when they first were looking there, where we made maps, we talked to business owners, we actually had some meetings with those owners about things with women's clinic. I mean, that's 2 years old business, but now that they're finally open, we can talk about what they did there. With the makerspace, was there any specific questions? I don't want to go into too much detail without having that MOU in place, but I mean, it's been in the newspaper, so there's some details out there. I mean, the goal is to partner with the community college, using community college resources that they probably have available for the community that we could also use and make sure we get more kids and adults into the community college. They've been very positive with working and getting those things going. So I don't know if there's any specific questions you have on that.
In let's say the broad scope, will it be Makerspace will be the quote-unquote owner, headliner, or will it be Garden City Community College Makerspace, in your mind?
It will depend on what location that's at.
Okay,
If we're talking about like a potential Third Street, it would be Makerspace, and then in conjunction on some of those.
supplemented by,
Right.
okay,
But when we're talking about like doing stuff maybe at the wood shop at the community college, I mean, it's community college's wood shop. Some of those classes would be hosted by Makerspace, but I mean, that's a really, really collaborative project in that case. And it just depends on how that moves forward. I mean, ideally, it's in conjunction, everything's in conjunction with the community college, because what we want to do, especially with the young adults, the kids get in high school and the young adults, is get them interested in some trade through that makerspace or through their high school, bring it forward, give them the tools that they can use whenever they want to use them, not just during the class time, but then get them to a point where they're like, you know what, this could be a career. I do want to do welding. And then that's when they can transition over to the community college and take those credits, to take the classes for credit or for certificate and stuff like that. So ideally, it's a complete partnership.
so it's more than just a hobby thing, it could be an educational
Definitely. I mean,
and
that's-
training and whetting of the appetite, if you will.
Right, and,
Okay.
and that's why you see Makerspace kind of replacing the idea, the older idea of the incubator, where you just kind of had a space for people to do business. This is one step further, where they can still do business, but it's taking things that people are interested in and kind of refining them into a either business themselves, where they can produce and operate a business out of the makerspace, or go into a trades or something like that.
Okay, thank you, Shannon.
How's the activity been this summer with the makerspace classes?
The classes have been, we've had a couple of classes, they've been going okay. It's been kind of a situation because of the state of the college that we couldn't really long-term plan, because we didn't long-term plan to know where it was going to be held at. And depends on what your physical structure is like. It kind of makes a difference on what kind of classes can be held. So that's one of the reasons why that MOU is kind of important, to get all hammered out and everything, so we can kind of do a little bit more long-term planning on stuff like that.
Okay.
But I mean, the flag workshop went well. That's one of the things that the city commission tasked Makerspace to kind of lead the community charge in developing a Garden City community flag. And that was, I mean, initially spearheaded by Matthew Blood, who's been part of that process and stuff like that. So that's been good. And that was, if you went to Art in the Park, there's the Makerspace booth up there where you could come and give your feedback on some of the designs and stuff like that. So there's been some good summer activity with that. One thing I would bring up for a potential topic next time is with Rochester, they had a market study done for the Garden City community. That might be a good thing to review, what their new findings are. It's actually a really positive view and outlook of the future of Garden City for retail and stuff like that. So if that's something you want me to talk about, I can get that prepared for next time.
I think that'd be very interesting, considering the scope and depth of that development up there. It's gonna be, pretty elaborate, so I think that'd be very interesting to have.
Yep, I will do that for next time. Any other questions or anything?
Well, I think, your makerspace, I think, is right now and has kind of been up in the air in a state of flux, just due to the lack of having a specific location that you can say, this is where we are, and hopefully as we move forward and get that part stabilized, then makerspace will really take off and develop from there. So
I agree. We've got some good, we added Susan Escarino to the board, and she's been really good at kind of identifying some grants and stuff like that. So it's moving along. It's one of those things that it takes, it seems like it's one of those things that overnight things change and it improves, but it's one of those things that takes 2 years to get to that one overnight that it improves, so.
well, keep working on it. I think it'll come together.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shannon.
Yeah.
Right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Shannon.
Thank you.
Okay, we have no new business on the agenda, so we'll move on. Old business, as you recall, last month we had made a proposal to Benny County Convention and Visitors Bureau to do some work with Greater Garden City. Lana and I attended their board meeting last week, and that was discussed on their agenda. You recall, we made a proposal to them, they countered to us, we countered back to them, and at their board meeting this last week, their board voted to stay with their counter back to us, so kind of where we're at right now. Roxanne, would you like to say anything or address
We just
anything?
felt like not moving forward, not knowing what that partnership would be like, but we felt very confident in the original offer. So that's why when the board came to it, plus the offer back to us stripped away a lot of control on our part as well. So we would be open to looking at another counter offer, but we felt that the offer we made was a good offer.
Okay.
I think based on the discussions that we had when we made that counteroffer, we looked at the assets that we have, the monies that we have invested to get us to where we were today, the cost of creating something new as a start over and building it into something, that our offer was very, very fair. I would judge that we not accept the counteroffer,
That would be.
or their original offer. I would move that we not go that direction.
Okay.
I think that costs us more money than it benefits.
We have a motion to decline that counteroffer. Do we have a second? I'll second that. For the sake of discussion, I agree with Bob. I think we have more costs, more time consumed in this proposal. I think looking at the list of events that was presented during that 6-month period, I think it appears that this is the heaviest 6-month period of any activity for CVB, and would require more of Scott's time. So I think you're right, Bob. I think that's kind of my feeling also.
So the on the table is that we not accept their, and do we want to potentially put together another proposal for them, or?
I would say at this time, no.
Okay.
I would like to comment though, Mr. Chairman, that we certainly will continue to write all of the stories that we're writing about events. Those events are important to this entire community. They're certainly not owned by any entity. They are community-wide events, and that's a big part of what Greater Garden City does. So we certainly wouldn't want anybody to think that Scott's going to discontinue his coverage of the very things that make our community what our community is. We just simply won't be doing it. We won't be going forward with a sponsorship from
And
the
you can
CVB.
see in Scott's report, he covers Beef Empire Days and a number of these other things. He covers the activity at the Historical Society and the museum and all of those things. So we will continue to do those things. Just
and we still
withdraw
welcome, we've had
partnership.
great feedback from hoteliers and requests from hoteliers to, when they know of something that's happening that they feel would be good for their business, they're happy, they're more than happy to reach out. And we will obviously continue to honor all of those requests. We certainly don't want anybody to think that we're going to discontinue writing the stories we write. That's not gonna happen, so.
Okay, any further discussion? Other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that will kind of conclude that item, so we will probably not move forward with that. But like I say, we will continue to write cover cover the stories and write the articles and do that kind of thing, so.
And Mr. Chairman, we'll be happy to draft a formal notification of the action the board's taken that you can send to their board so that they're well aware that we have acted on the request.
Thank you. Okay. Any other business that we need to discuss? That covers the agenda items. We need to have probably a 15-minute, 20-minute executive
20
session.
minute,
20
please.
minutes, okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting and re-adjourn into executive session for the discussion of client confidentiality. You got a motion and a second. You guys racing each other. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We will adjourn. We'll re-adjourn into executive session.
Re-adjourn and adjourn?
Yeah, we'll come back together in executive session right after we.
We're gonna leave and come back and go.
I was all ready. I got my mind ready and everything.